Hello friends, welcome to my Cozy Haven. My name is Fiona. I'm really glad you clicked my video today. I'm going to be chatting to you about the books I've read this week, what I'm going to be reading this weekend, what my plans are for the weekend, etc. I'm sure if you watched my videos before, you know what my weekend plans are. But that's kind of what this video is about. I hope you're going to enjoy it and you'll come chat with me in the comments. So the first book I want to talk to you about is Wrapped Up in Christmas Faith by Janice Lynn. No, I didn't ask you to do that. Stop. Wrapped Up in Christmas Faith by Janice Lynn. I received this from Tool Publishing as an e-arc and I'm really glad I got it. I love Janice Lynn's books. They're just such good reads that I have some of them as physical books and I'm actually wanting to get all of them. So we meet Maggie, and Maggie has come to Pine Hills on supposedly a job, okay? And she's staying in the B&B with Sarah and her husband, and she gets talked into attending their Halloween party, and she's dressed up as Cinderella after she's, in a Cinderella princess costume. And there's this gentleman, Walker, who is dressed up as Prince Charming. And he comes up to her and goes, "Princess, can I see if this fits?" And she's like, "No." Just downright no. And although she is attracted to him and he's attracted to her, but she's like, "I'm not here for love, romance. I've had my heart broken. I'm not going to do that. There are certain things I want in my life, and at the moment that is not it." We discover that she was discharged from the military. She used to fly helicopters and there was an accident. She was very badly damaged in said accident, and she's basically come to Pine Hills for healing, and she gets involved with the town, and she's like, "No, I'm only here till after Christmas," because she thinks that's how long her job lasts for, okay? But we find out there are various things happening. So this is about her just learning to be herself, learning to try and let the barriers down, let that big brick wall come down. It's about Walker not giving up. It's about Maggie making friends and realising, coming back to her faith, which had taken a major battering. It was an absolute delightful read. I'm being really, really vague because I really do not want to give away a lot of the plot, because you need to read this, guys. This was just such a delightful, delightful read. If you get it, please do. You don't need to read the rest of the books in the series before you read this one. It can be read as a standalone. But it's one of these books that you read when it's a cold, yucky day outside, or if you want it, a cold, snowy day would be even better. That you got fairy lights going, you got the fire going, you've got hot chocolate, and you're snuggled under a blanket. That is the book to read, because it is just, I loved it, and just such a really good book. So, is there angst in it? For those of you that don't like angst, or a lot of angst, there is some, but I didn't find it it was not overpowering for me. But, all I'll say is try it, and hopefully you'll love it as much as I did. So that was book number 1. Book number 2 is The Shalley School Reunion by Eleanor M. Brent Dyer. This is book number 50, I think, in the Shalley School series. And in this one, Joy gets a letter from her friend Griselle, who we met in the very, very first book. Griselle and Joy were the first 2 pupils at the Shalley School. And Griselle is having to come to England because her stepmother has passed away. And she has to deal with all the machinations that go with that, because her father's already passed. But she is going to have a stop in the Bernese Oberland with Joey. And it's probably the best thing that she does. Grisella's never been a character that you necessarily love. Okay? She's a very troubled character even from the beginning. And Joey hits up on the plan of let's have a Shalley School reunion of those folk who are at this Shalley School kind of the first 2 terms, if we can. Or in the Austrian sort of terms, if we can. And she invites a lot of people. But she doesn't tell Griselle about this until Griselle actually arrives and she can't go anywhere. And Griselle, instead of flying from New Zealand to Switzerland, came by cargo boat as far as Lagos and then flew. And while she was on the cargo boat, there was a couple of gentlemen who were travelling the same way. And she sort of struck up a friendship with one of them. And he comes back into the story. Okay. It was lovely catching up with some of with the characters that we haven't heard from like way back when. And hearing them reminisce about their times, in Austria as well. You can imagine the conversations that were being had. Something happens to Griselle that she ends up in the sanatorium. And in many ways that was the best thing that could have happened. I'm not saying why, but it was a good thing that it happened. We see a side of her later on in this. We see a side of her in the story that we haven't sort of maybe seen before. But this is we end up seeing Griselle as a very happy lady. I think a lady who's full of fun and possibly some mischief as well, I would think. But I really, really like this book because I think it's just a nice book for this character and the things that hopefully happen for her in the future. But thoroughly enjoyed this one. So it's a book 50 of the Shalley School series. I then picked up this one, which is The Cinnamon Spice Inn by Harper Graham. I'd seen somebody's review of this on Instagram and thought it sounded really good. I've heard somebody else talk about it. Excuse me, I can't remember who. But this is to do with, I'll read you the back of it. Love is the sweetest spice of all. A fiery, coffee-loving city girl, a laid-back handyman with irresistible hazel eyes. Is this a recipe for a disaster? Find out in this totally cosy and unputdownable enemies to lovers romance in the small town of your dreams. Gilmore Girls plus spice plus everything autumn. So we meet Madison, and Madison receives this anonymous letter saying that her father is struggling and that she needs to come back to Maple Falls to the Cinnamon Spice Inn and help out. And she comes back and the letter's right, her father is struggling. Her mother used to run the inn, but her mother passed away a couple of years previous to the start of this book. And things are not as they were. And Madison realises she's going to have to take over and make sure that things are run as they should be. The day she arrives, there's a big storm and there's damage done to the inn. And this brings her into contact with Zach, who's her ex-boyfriend that she walked away from for a reason, but he doesn't know that there's a reason she walked away. And he doesn't know why they broke up. So there's that kind of angst, and there's I don't need you to help me, I can do it. And her dad and her grandmother, who's still alive, oh no, Zach's going to fix it all up. So she's by the way, he's also going to live in the cabin house because there's no power or whatever in his house, etc. And she's like, really? So it's Madison coming back to small town, coming back to having to live with people that she's known all her life and who are very much, you sit in the coffee shop, hello dear, how are you? That kind of small town, which I absolutely adore. I love stories that are set in small towns where everybody knows everybody else and everybody, looks out for each other, which I think is lovely. And what I don't understand in some ways is why people in the town, if they're that warm and friendly, haven't worked out that the things that the cinnamon, what is it called? Bollocks. Yeah. The cinnamon spice in. Excuse me 1 minute. I'm going to need to pick things up. Yeah. It's alright, my Kindle's fine. Oh, that's what I get for putting it on a wheel edge. Yeah, I don't understand why people haven't worked out that things are not that great at the inn. And they haven't sort of tried to come in and help previously. So that I think hopefully that will be part of the story as well. At the moment I'm only, what am I in? I'm on chapter 10, so I'm like page 86. I am enjoying it. There's been one scene so far, but it wasn't like a scene, if that makes sense. It was a dream. So, but it's going to be, I suspect it'll be open door. As long as it does, yeah, I don't mind a couple of open doors, but I don't want a whole lot of them. That is just not for me. But if they are, I'll just skip them, because I like the story, the story so far, and I want to know what happens. So yeah, so that's all I'm reading this weekend. I know, one book. What's wrong with me, eh? I still have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I haven't picked it up since I started it. I just not been in the mood, and I'm not going to push myself to read it if I'm not in the mood, because it'll just spoil, the story. So that's kind of what I'm reading. What are my plans for the weekend? We've got rugby. This is the start of the autumn internationals this weekend. So Scotland play the USA on Saturday. So yeah, we're watching that plus some of the others. I'll read. I'll maybe do some sewing or some cross stitch. I have to finish off my diamond painting card, so I might do some of that. I've got plenty of things to kind of fill my time with, which is good. I will not be idle unless I want to be idle, which actually might be quite nice. I also have a letter to write, or a couple of letters to write, so I'd like to get those done as well if I can. So as I say, there are plenty of things that I can do, and I'll just sort of see how the mood takes me, see what else was happening within the family, and take it from there. So yeah, so that's kind of, I think that's all. I have been doing some more shopping. If you go onto my Instagram account, you will see the new decoration that we got for Christmas. Yeah, Fiona he's about that height, an acrylic snowman that lights up. He's going to go out on the front step. So I sent a picture of it to my other half, and he's like, "Oh, do you want me to get you one?" No, I'm going to Aldi to get one or something on my own. So he was going to go and have a look. So it'll be interesting to see what he chooses. It will be very interesting, because I was saying, I think something like that would be very nice, and told him where I thought it would be nice. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets one to put there. But yeah, so that's it. So please come chat with me down in the comments. Have you read any of the books that I've mentioned? Do any of them sound interesting to you with me having mentioned them? I would love to know. What have you been reading this week? Is there anything you've been reading that you think, oh, Fiona would really like that? I would love to know. If you've got any recommendations for me, please come chat with me down in the comments. What are your plans for the weekend? That would be great to know as well. But that's it for the moment, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up. On your way to chat with me in the comments, if you haven't already, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell that just tell you when I'm bringing out new videos. It also helps my channel grow. I know it's fluctuating at the moment. One time it tells me I've got 600 subscribers, then it's 599, so I'm fluctuating around about that number. I would love to hit sort of 600 before the turn of the year would be wonderful. And I would really appreciate it if you were one of my my new subscribers that will get me there. And I know I've had a few new subscribers lately, so hello, thank you so much for subscribing. I'm really pleased you did, and welcome to my little cozy haven on this part of YouTube, on BookTube. Anyway, that's it for the moment. Whatever you do, friends, stay safe. Happy reading. Bye.